Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 18, verse 26. Mukta sango aham vadi drutya sa samanvitah siddhi siddhyor nivirkara karta satvika uchyate.
One who performs his duty without association with the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness.
Verse 27. Ragi karma phala prepsu lupto hinsatmako suchi harsha shokanvita karta rajasa parikirtitah.
The worker who is attached to the work and the fruits of work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion.
Verse 28. Ayuktah prakruta stabda shato naishkrutiko lasah vishadi dirgha sutri cha karta tamasa uchyate.
The worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and expert in insulting others, and who is lazy, always morose, procrastinating, is said to be the worker in the mode of ignorance.
Verse 29. Buddhe bhedam dhruteshchaiva gunata strividam shunun ruchyamanam sheshena puthatvena dhananjaya.
O winner of wealth, now please listen as I tell you in detail of the different kinds of understanding and determination according to the three modes of material nature.
Verse 30. Pravrutim cha nivrutim cha karya karye bhaya bhaye bandham moksham cha yaveti buddhi sa partha satviki.
O son of Pratha, the understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness.
Verse 31. Yaya dharma dharma cha karya meva cha ayathavat prajanati buddhi sa partha rajasi.
O son of Pratha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion.
Verse 32. Adharma dharmamiti ma manyate tamasavrita sarvathan vipritam shabuddhi sama partha tamasi.
That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion, under the spell of illusion and darkness, and strives always in the wrong direction, O Partha, is in the mode of ignorance.
Verse 33. Dhrutya yaya dharyate mana pranendra kriya yogena va vicharanya dhruti sa partha satviki.
O son of Pratha, that determination which is unbreakable, which is sustained with steadfastness by yoga practice, and which thus controls the activities of the mind, life, and senses, is determination in the mode of goodness.
Verse 34. यया तु धर्मकार्मार्थ्यान् धृत्या धार्यते अर्जुन प्रसंगेन फलकांक्षी धृति सा पार्थ राजसी.
But that determination by which one holds fast to fruitive results in religion, economic development, and sense gratification is of the nature of passion, O Arjuna.
Verse 35. यया स्वप्नं भयं शोकं विषादं मदमेव च न विमुच्यति दुर्मेधा धृति सा पार्थ तामसी.
And that determination which cannot go beyond dreaming, fearfulness, lamentation, moroseness, and illusion, such unintelligent determination, O son of brother, is in the mode of darkness.
Verse 36. Sukham tvidanim trividam shunu me bharatarshava abhyasadramate yatra dukhantam cha nigacchati.
O best of Bharatas, now please hear from me about the three kinds of happiness by which the conditioned soul enjoys and by which he sometimes comes to the end of all distress.
Verse 37. Yattagre vishimiva pariname mrutopamam tat sukham satvikam proktatma buddhi prasadajam.
That which in the beginning may be just like poison, but at the end is just like nectar, and which awakens one to self-realization is said to be happiness in the mode of goodness.
Verse 38. Vishayendri sanyoga tatgre yattad agre mrutopamam pariname vishamiva tatsukham rajasam smrutam.
That happiness which is derived from contact of the senses with their objects and which appear like nectar at first, but poison at the end, is said to be of the nature of passion.
Verse 39. Yatyagre chanubandhe cha sukham mohanamatmanah nindralasya pramadotham tatama samudayatam.
And that happiness which is blind to self-realization, which is delusion from beginning to end, and which arises from sleep, laziness, and illusion, is said to be of the nature of ignorance.
Verse 40. Na tadasti pruthivyam va divi deve deveshu va punah sattvam prakriti jairmuktam yadebhistyatri gune.
There is no being existing either here or among the demigods in the higher planetary systems which is freed from the three modes born of material nature.
Verse 41. Brahmana kshatriya visham shudranam cha parantapa karmani pravibhaktani swabhava prabhavair gune.
Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras are distinguished by the qualities born of their own nature in accordance with the material modes, O chastiser of enemies.
Verse 42. Shamodamastapah shaucham kshantirarjarvamev cha gnanam vignama satykyam brahma karma swabhavajam.
Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmana works.
Verse 43. Shaurya tejo dhrutirdakshyam yute chapya palayanam danam ishwaram bhavascham kshatram karma swabhavajam.
Heroism, power, determination, resourcefulness, courage in battle, generosity, and leadership are the natural qualities of the work for Kshatriyas.
Verse 44. कृषि गोरक्ष वाणिज्यं वैश्य कर्म स्वभावजं परिचार्यात्मकं कर्म शूद्रस्यापि स्वभावजम्.
Farming, cow protection, and business are the natural work for the Vaishyas, and for the Sudras, there are labor and service to others.
Verse 45. स्वे स्वे कर्मण्यभिरतः संसद्वि लभते नर स्वकर्म निरतः सिद्धिं यथा विन्दति तृच्छृणु.
By following his qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done.
Verse 46. यतः प्रवृत्तिर्भूतानां येन सर्वमिदं ततं स्वकर्मणा तपश्चर्या सिद्धि विन्दति मानवः.
By worship of the Lord, who is the source of all beings and who is all pervading, a man can attain perfection through performing his own work.
Verse 47. श्रेयान् स्वधर्मो विगुणः परधर्मात्मनुष्ठितात् स्वभावनियतं कर्म कुर्वाणाप्नोति किल्बिषम्.
It is better to engage in one's own occupation, even though one may perform it imperfectly, than to accept another's occupation and perform it perfectly. Duties prescribed according to one's nature are never affected by sinful reaction.
Verse 48. सहजं कर्म कौन्तेय सदोषमपि न त्यजेत् सर्वारम्भा हि दोषेण धूमेनाग्निरिवावृतः.
Every endeavor is covered by some fault, just as fire is covered by smoke. Therefore, one should not give up work born of his nature, O son of Kunti, even if such work is full of fault.
Verse 49. असक्त बुद्धिः सर्वत्र जितात्मा विगत स्पृह नैष्य कर्म सिद्धिं परमां संन्यासेनाधिगच्छति.
One who is self-controlled and unattached, and who disregards all material enjoyments can obtain, by practice of renunciation, the highest perfect stage of freedom from reaction.
Verse 50. सिद्धिं प्राप्तो यथा ब्रह्म तथाप्नोति निबोध मे समासैनेव कौन्तेय निष्ठा ज्ञानस्य या परा.
O son of Kunti, learn from me how one who has achieved this perfection can attain the supreme perfectional stage, Brahman, the stage of highest knowledge, by acting in the way I shall now summarize. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please forgive me for my mispronunciation. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. That was very good, Prabhu Mataji. No mispronunciation. And thank you, Hitesh Prabhu. Very nice English
Hare Krishna.
recitation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So, bring up my slides. So today we're doing 49. Oops. So we will start by reciting the Mangala Charana prayers like we traditionally do. You can also join me behind muted mics. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Vishatarine. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So today we are going to move on to another section of the 18th chapter. As we know, this 18th chapter is called the Perfection of Renunciation. And this is a summary of the Bhagavad Gita that Krishna is giving in this chapter. So in the previous section, which was sections number 41 to 48, text number 41 to 48, the Lord has been describing how we can achieve purification through prescribed duties. By performing our prescribed duties according to our psychophysical nature, which is informed by the modes of nature that we are situated, while at the same time remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can achieve perfection. There are some people who mistakenly think that by performing their prescribed duties perfectly, they will attain perfection in life. For example, a Brahmana, he thinks that if he can execute all of the prescribed duties of a Brahmana perfectly, he will attain perfection. And that same Brahmana, he may be a householder, and he thinks if he can do all of the duties as a householder perfectly, meaning he's the perfect husband, he's the perfect father, he maintains his family very well, he gets his daughters married nicely. Some people think that is the perfection of life, to execute one's duties perfectly. There is one verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I can't remember it offhand, but it clearly says, even if one executes all the duties of one ashrama perfectly, one can still go to hell. Because without remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead while undertaking one's duties, everything is simply a waste of time. So the emphasis on text 41 to 48 has been purification through prescribed duties, but, and this is the most important but, while remembering and worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sometimes you meet people, they say, if I simply be good in my life and I don't do anything wrong, that will achieve moksha for me. That is a mistaken. That's a mistaken idea. One does not achieve perfection like that. So now we're going to enter a new section. And this new section is from text number 49 to 55. And this section is called Confidential Knowledge. And this section is also called the Brahman Platform. the first aphorism of the Vedic, of the Brahma Sutra is Atato Brahma Jignasa. That now that I have got the human form of life, let me attain the stage of Brahman. And attaining the stage of Brahman means coming to the spiritual platform. Coming to the spiritual platform means coming out of the bodily platform. So in this section, the Lord will describe how through firstly, becoming free of the reactions of work, then through the process of Jnana Yoga. Gyan means knowledge, understanding that we are the soul. One comes to the platform of Brahman, and then how from the platform of Brahman, one comes to the platform of pure devotional service. So this is going to be described in this section, and this is the first verse in that section. So we shall read and discuss today. Asakta buddhi sarvatra jitatma vigatash priyaha naish karmya siddhim paramam sanyasena adhigacchati. Synonyms, the word for word translation. Asakta buddhi, having unattached intelligence. Sarvatra, everywhere. Jita Atma, having control of the mind. Vigatas Priyaha, without material desires. Naishkarmya Siddhim, the perfection of non-reaction. Paramam, supreme. Sanyasena, by the renounced order of life. Adhigacchati, one attains. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. One who is self-controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyments can obtain by the practice of renunciation the highest perfection stage of freedom from reaction. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Real renunciation means that one should always think himself part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore think that he has no right to enjoy the results of his work. Since he is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, the results of his work must be enjoyed by the Supreme Lord. This is actually Krishna consciousness. The person acting in Krishna consciousness is really a sannyasi, one in the renounced order of life. By such a mentality, one is satisfied because he is actually acting for the Supreme. Thus, he is not attached to anything material. He becomes accustomed to not taking pleasure in anything beyond the transcendental happiness derived from the service of the Lord. A sannyasi is supposed to be free from the reactions of his past activities. But a person who is in Krishna consciousness automatically attains this perfection without even accepting the so-called order of renunciation. This state of mind is called Yoga Rudra, or the perfectional stage of yoga. As confirmed in the 3rd chapter, Yastu Atma Ratir Eva Syat. One who is satisfied in himself has no fear of any kind of reaction from his activity. Beautiful verse. So the translation again is, one who is self-controlled and unattached and who disregards all material enjoyments can obtain, by practice of your renunciation, the highest perfect stage of freedom of reaction. So this is what people are endeavoring for. Naishkarmya siddhim. This is the word here. Naishkarmya siddhim. Siddhi means perfection. Naishkarmya means reaction of work. No reaction of work. So people are endeavoring on the transcendental path to achieve a stage where they are completely freedom from the reaction of work. Freedom from the reaction of work means freedom from karma. Because it is karma that binds us to the material. The moment you get karma, is it good or if it's bad, means you have to come back. You have to come back to pay for the bad karma, or you have to come back to enjoy the good karma. Some people think if I simply do good karma, I become free. It's not like that. Just like some person is very charitable. Is very charitable. By that charity, they get good karma, good punya. So they have to come back and reap the results of that good karma. I was reading today something very interesting. There is a devotee who is a very expert astrologer. And this devotee was looking at the astrological chart of our late Duke of Edinburgh, Prince Philip. And she was saying, if you look at his astrological chart, he was a very pious man in his last life. So in this life, he got a very high position as the husband of the Queen of England, the Duke of Edinburgh. And then she says, looking at the time of his death, you can see he's going to come back and he'll have a good birth because he did so much of pious deeds in this life. But this is the cycle that we are all caught up in. Not only do people get reaction for the bad karma, but we get the reaction from our good karma. And we have to come and pay. But it's still karma. Prabhupada used to say, whether we are in the third-class cell in the prison or we are in the first-class cell in the prison, we are still in the prison. So those who are transcendentalists, they've come to the realization that to become free from birth and death means to become free from the reaction of work. So in this verse here, the Lord is explaining detachment from all material objects, asakta buddhi sarvatra. That's the first line. Whose mind is controlled, jitatma. 3, without material desires, vigatas priyaha. 4, by complete renunciation of all activities, sannyasena, one attains the perfection of reaction. Now, if we examine this criteria, many of us will lose hope. I am not detached from all material objects. My mind, I won't say is controlled. Certainly, I can't find with myself free from material desires. So it means I don't think I can attain the stage Naishkarmya Siddhim. So I am caught. I am caught. I will not attain the stage of Naishkarmya Siddhim. But Srila Prabhupada, being the Acharya, he's given such a beautiful, simple, such a beautiful, simple, practical, relevant means by which we can attain this stage. And it's so beautifully encapsulated in Prabhupada's opening statement in this purport. He says, what does real renunciation mean? He says, real renunciation means that one should always think himself part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. And therefore think he has no right to enjoy the results of his work. Just the simple consciousness like this all of us can do. If we can always, throughout the day, just think, who am I? I am simply part and parcel of Krishna. And everything I see around me, everything I touch, everything that I use, all of this belongs to Krishna. And I have no right to enjoy this. My duty is simply to think, how can I use this in the service of Krishna? Just this simple consciousness like this, it can bring us complete freedom from the reaction of work. Recently, I was listening to a very nice class. I think it was given in 1974 in Mayapur, India. And the title of this class is, "This body does not belong to us." This is the title of the class. This body does not belong to us. And it's taken from a discussion from the first canto, the 18th chapter, I think, number 7 of Srimad Bhagavatam, where these words were spoken by Maharaj Yudhishthira. And in this class, Srila Prabhupada does a very beautiful analysis of our situation. Like most of us, we think that this body belongs to us. And he said, it cannot belong to us. The first reason being, because this body comes from our mothers and father. So since it's coming from the mother, it has to belong to our parents. And then he says, when we die, this body does not belong to others. To us, it belongs to others. Firstly, there are some religions, when you die, they leave the body to the vultures. So it becomes food for the vultures. If we do not become food for the vultures, then we bury the body in the ground. Then it becomes food for the worms. And then if it's not food for the worms, someone may burn. It becomes dust and it goes back to the earth as dust. Then Srila Prabhupada says, what is the body made out of? The body, it is made up of earth, water, fire, air, ether. So where is earth, water, fire, and ether coming from? These are the various energies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this body does not belong to us. Ultimately, this body belongs to Krishna. Because all of the ingredients that make up this body belongs to Krishna. So actually, one who is intelligent, if one does, a very detailed analysis to say, who does this body really belong to? We think it's our body, but who does it belong to? It does not belong to us. Ultimately, it belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And because it belongs to Krishna, it should be used in the service of Krishna. Just like, some item, it may belong to some person. And if I go and take that item, say like a car, that car belongs to some person. And I go and take that car and I started using it for myself. What will I be called? A thief. A thief. Because that car belongs to that person. But if I am a chauffeur driver and I drive the same car and the master sits in the back and I drive, I know this car belongs to the master, and I use the car, then that's perfectly all right, because it's being used in the service of the person it belongs to. So in the same way, those who use this body in the service of Krishna, there is no reaction. And such a person, as Prabhupada says, acting in Krishna consciousness is a real sannyasi, one in the renounced order of life. So this is the true definition of what is a sannyasi. Prabhupada used to often refer to his householder disciples who were engaged 100% in the service of Krishna. He used to say, you all are sannyasis. A sannyasi is not someone who puts on saffron robes, carries a danda. No. Real sannyasi means the state of consciousness. Prabhupada says, he is not attached to anything material. He becomes accustomed to not taking pleasure anything beyond the transcendental happiness derived from the service of the Lord. And in this way, he achieves the real definition of sannyasi. Prabhupada says, yoga, rudra stage. So we can see that this verse from Bhagavad Gita, one who is not a bhakta, one who is not a devotee, this becomes a very difficult thing to understand. It becomes a very frightening state to attain. It becomes almost achievable. Just a few very special people can reach the stage of asakta buddhir, jitatma, vigata spriyaha, naiskarmya siddhim paramam. But those who are coming in disciplic succession from Krishna, like Srila Prabhupada, he's given us such a simple understanding of this verse of Bhagavad Gita. Simple in the sense that we can practice this. We can achieve these words that Krishna is explaining. It is accessible to every one of us. And this is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. This is the beauty of understanding Bhagavad Gita in disciplic succession. We can understand what is real sannyasi. When we see a person with a saffron robe and a danda, and we see a householder devotee, we can see, yes, this householder devotee of the Lord is also achieved perfection. And how do we achieve this state? It comes to practice. That's what we practice called sadhana bhakti, devotional service in practice. Actually, in one stage, we were already in this consciousness. This was our natural consciousness. But since we came into the material world under the influence of the false ego, we've been having all of these misconceptions. But simply by practicing a sadhana bhakti, regulative devotional service, all these misconceptions, all the unwanted things within the heart starts to disappear. And this is the process of Krishna consciousness. So maybe I will stop here. I see there's some questions. Puja Mataji, you're back.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
We were missing you.
Yeah, I heard. Thank you for thinking about me.
Hare Krishna. So you got the first question here.
Yes.
Does unattached mean the same as detached? What do you think, Puja Mataji?
I think yes. It means the same thing.
Would you like to elaborate?
Unattached, we split it into two, means unattached. It means he's not attached, which I think would be same as detached, means he's not attached to anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in the Vaishnava philosophy, there's a difference. Yeah? So say suppose I am holding this phone now, right?
Yeah.
So people think unattached means there's a subtle difference according to Vaishnava philosophy. They think unattached means I dropped the phone, now my hand is free. That is unattached, right? But Vaishnava philosophy, that does not mean unattached. I can pick up my bead bag, right? I can be chanting Krishna's name. I'm attached to something, I'm holding this bead bag, but still I am detached. And this is taken to be the true meaning of detached. Because, as I was saying, this body belongs to Krishna, right? The body must be used in Krishna's service. If I simply stop using it in my service, I leave the phone, it's not achieved its real utility. Its real utility is to be engaged in Krishna's service. And I pick up the bead bag, or I use this hand to serve Krishna. This is real detachment. Do you understand the subtle difference, Mataji?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Mayavadis, they think unattached, detached means my hand must become empty.
Okay.
But the Vaishnava philosophy, no, I use this hand, it belongs to Krishna. Let's find its real utility. Let's use this hand in Krishna's service. That is detached, according to Vaishnava philosophy. And it's the perfect understanding of detached.
So why is unattached used in this verse?
Huh?
In this verse, the word that is used is unattached, isn't it?
Yeah. One who is self-control and unattached.
Yes.
Krishna is using the word, you can say here, asakta buddhi, unattached intelligence. Having unattached intelligence, meaning the state of consciousness. The state of consciousness is nothing belongs to me, everything belongs to Krishna. This is asakta buddhi. This is the meaning of unattached intelligence. Unattached in the sense it, nothing belongs to me.
Okay.
You understand, Mataji?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else got any questions, comments, reflections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I just have one question. Like, some people are like very good and like charitable and do everything, but they are non-vegetarian, like, non-vegetarian. As you have just given example of Philip, and you said he will get the next birth as well. Good. So he will get human, or how does that work if they are eating like, non-vegetarian?
Oh yeah. So yeah, using the example of one person who's done lots of good, and there is done some not good. The understanding is that he has to pay in some shape or form for the bad karma he's done, and he will have to pay in some shape or form for the good karma he's done. So in their existence, it will bear fruit in some shape or form or the other. It may be difficult to really understand how, but that fruit will bear. It's not that the good wipes out the bad. Both will be there. He will reap the results of the good activity, and he will reap the results of his bad karma. How that is played out by the laws of karma itself, it's very intricate and maybe difficult to understand, but the principle is there. It's not that the good will wipe out the bad.
Yeah, but I heard like, if they are eating animal, they have to come as animal and then they eat you or something. So how does that work in that? So you get like animal?
Well, there's different ways of looking at it. If you look at the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, and you look at the Garuda Purana, everybody has to go to the planet of Yamaraj. Chitragupta has kept a record, who is keeping a record of everything we do. And it may be, they will get punished for the bad in the hellish planets, and then eventually, after that punishment, they'll come back to the earthly planets in some human form to reap out the good. So it depends, It says even on the path to the hellish planets, one has to suffer in different ways. Srimad Bhagavatam, the 5th canto, explains one receives the results of that suffering. So the exact way in which it's done, I can't say, but Garuda Purana and Srimad Bhagavatam, you can read to get some insights into how it's done on the balance. But it's there for sure.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Can I ask something again, Prabhuji?
Yes, Puja Mataji.
When they say, when we were young, when I was in schools and studies, they always used to say that work is worship. So that is not always true, isn't it? Unless you use your work for the service of the Krishna, but just work on its own without any devotional service doesn't mean that.
No.
Yeah.
What did it say? Manasa Seva? Madhava Seva. Worshipping man is worshipping God. Some people say that. So doing good work for man, he's worshipping Madhava. No, that's not so. That when you worship Madhava, there's no reaction. When you worship man, you get good reaction. The purpose of life is not either good reaction. The purpose of life is to serve and please Krishna. So that's a misunderstanding, Puja Mataji. People think simply by doing good, I'm achieving the highest stage. No, not according to this verse of Bhagavad Gita. Paramam, Naishkarmya, Siddhim Paramam. That's not what Krishna is saying in this verse. Definitely not.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else has got any reflections, comments, or questions? Is that clear, dear devotees, the meaning of this verse and purport?
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Wonderful, wonderful class.
Yeah.
Yes, the purport makes it so much easier to understand, to utilize our own body in Krishna's service. It's so good. It's so simple and it's so doable.
Yes, yes. That's what's so wonderful. Srila Prabhupada has made, the highest stage where people think, oh, only these sannyasis have achieved it. No, even the simple man in the street, a woman, at home can achieve these verses of Bhagavad Gita. And really, this is the meaning of religion. True religion should not be the prerogative of a few people. True religion is that which is accessible and achievable by everyone. And this is the beauty of what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given the process for the highest stage of realization to every single individual. And this is the meaning of religion. It's not the prerogative of the priests. It's not the prerogative of kings. It is the prerogative of every living entity. What's that verse in the Bhagavad Gita? True religion. I'm forgetting it now. Anyway, you'll know it.
Thank you very much.
Is it Parodharma? Is that the word?
Yes. What's the first word there?
Savai pumsa parodharma yator
Yes.
bhakti yadaksuje.
Yes.
Ahaitukya pratihata.
Yes.
Yayatma suprasidati.
Yeah. Yayatma suprasidati. Yayatma suprasidati. Savai pumsa parodharma. Parodharma means the highest religion. This is what bhakti is. Wonderful. Thank you for that, Rupa Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Chandra
Krishna.
Chaitanya Prabhu, you were saying something. Sorry, Mataji. Please go on, Mataji. Sorry,
Okay, no problem. Sorry, Prabhuji. Thank you. I was thinking, you talked about detachment, and it's when you utilize all your senses in serving Krishna.
Yes.
But if you still continue having desires, like, Mahaprabhu's servant who went astray with the gypsies, he was serving Mahaprabhu with all his senses. Well, at least it looked like he was serving, and yet there was sort of deep desires. So would that be classified as sannyas or detachment, complete detachment? If you continue carrying desires within,
But
you're utilizing your senses in serving Krishna. Sorry.
Yeah. See, this is the beauty of bhakti. While using your senses in the service of Krishna, rishikena rishikesa sevanam bhakti uchyate. When you use the senses in the service of Krishna, the senses become purified. So sometimes they may not be purified, but we are using them in the service of Krishna. But by using them in the service of Krishna, they will become purified. So some people, they are using it in the service of Krishna, but the senses have not become completely purified yet. And there are others, senses have already become purified by the intense nature of their devotion. So in the case of you, Krishna Das, who got bewildered by the gypsies, although he was in the service of Lord Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was using his service in this. But then at one stage, he stopped using the senses in the service of Krishna, and he started to use them in his own. That's, when he got bewildered by the gypsies.
Yes.
So momentarily, at that point in time, he stopped using his senses in the service of Krishna. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and pulled him back and said, yeah, you know, Jiva, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Jiv Jago, Gora Chandra Bole.
Yes.
Oh, sleeping soul, wake up, wake up. You know, so long you've been lying in the witch of Maya, but now you come and use your senses in the service of Krishna. But, you know, sometimes in the conditioned state, although we be engaging in devotional service, you know, we be serving the Lord, you know, sometimes we be in the deity kitchen, even we may be in the altar, but our mind may be somewhere else. So, you know, the process of sadhana bhakti is to train the mind, train the mind, and then eventually the mind becomes fully attached to the service of Krishna. But that's the process. It's the
Yes.
process.
Okay.
Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you. Prabhuji.
Hare
Wonderful.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Vani Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, can I just say, add a little point with it?
Of course, Mataji, please do.
Actually, Krishna Prabhu, he is a devotee of Lord Nityananda.
Oh, Kala Krishna Das. Yeah.
And so Lord Chaitanya was very, very kind to him. You know, so even he made a mistake, he forgave him and he brought him back.
Yes.
But the same happened with, you know, the Lord Chaitanya's another disciple. What's his name?
Toto Haridas.
Who was a very, Tota Haridas. And
Yeah.
he was just, even in the mind, he made a mistake and Lord Chaitanya did not forgive him. And, you know, like he gave up his life and Lord Chaitanya said, that's good. So with his disciple, he was very, very strict. But for Lord Chaitanya's disciple, he was a little bit lenient.
Lord Nityananda. Oh, thank you for that insight, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Jali Mataji.
I believe I heard it's being read that in the scriptures that to have that 100% purity, one should have no desire whatsoever. So even the desire, I'm doing this to get to Krishna, I'm doing this, you know, I expect to be with Krishna, I'm following the scriptures. They don't even get into that situation. They just, you know, they are pure altogether, and they just like the sadhus. But, you know, real pure sadhus, Brahman sadhus.
Yes.
Is that right? I mean, it sounds...
Well, not really. The point I was trying to make in this class, Joli Mataji, is that, you know, every one of us has the capability of becoming, you know, perfectly self-realized sadhu or sadhvi by the process of Krishna consciousness. So did I miss the point you were trying to make? Maybe I didn't understand the point you were trying to make.
I'm trying to say that there are parts in the scriptures that says, I can't quite remember, but I heard it said that the best place to be is have no desire whatsoever. Although you're practicing purity, but you're not having desire.
No, that's not true. Srila Prabhupada says repeatedly that for the soul, it's not possible to become desireless. The soul always has desires. The difference between a liberated soul and a conditioned soul is that the conditioned soul desires personal gratification, and a liberated soul desires the gratification of Krishna senses. So a conditioned soul desires, how can I enjoy my senses? And a liberated soul desires, how can I fulfill Krishna senses? And when one thinks like this, how can I fulfill Krishna senses? One gets joy, happiness, and satisfaction unlimited times more then one desires to gratify one's own senses. So desire, one cannot become, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has taught and our Vaishnavacharyas have taught, it's never possible for the soul to become desireless. When that soul desires, meaning desires, how can I please Krishna? I wonder if Krishna is feeling thirsty now. What drink can I offer him? I wonder if Krishna is hungry now. What can I feed him? I wonder if Krishna is feeling to listen to some music now. What can I do to fulfill Krishna's desires? So the devotee is actually full of desires, absolutely full of desires, but thinking constantly, how can I fulfill Krishna's desires? That's our philosophy, Mataji.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just thinking that although there is a difference in devotees at that level, and for the pure non-desirable activities that's performed with the really highly elevated devotee, well, like the sadhus, as I quoted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
So,
right,
yeah.
Mataji. You're correct. There's a difference. There's a difference in the intensity of.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, if that's the point you're making, yes, you're correct. Yeah, but we can achieve that also through the mercy of Krishna. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chandra Chaitanya Prabhu, you've been patiently waiting. Did you have something to add?
No, I was just thinking this wonderful purport by Srila Prabhupada. There was, in his early disciples in America, exemplified what he has said in the purport. Immediately, Jayadev Prabhu comes to mind.
Jayananda Prabhu.
And in the Rath Yatra, we have
Jayananda Prabhu, yes, correct.
Yes, and then also in the Lilamrita, some of his early disciples used to go to work and used to give him the full salary check.
Yes.
So, they were proper sannyasis, although they were not technically sannyasis.
That's true. That's very true what you say.
And I think there are so many devotees around the world who perhaps fit into that category. So I think we are starting perhaps to see a bubble of the real sannyasis. So we've got a lot more to go for 10,000 years.
Yes, the world will be full of sannyasis. Some sannyasis in saffron robe and many sannyasis in normal dress.
I cannot imagine there's a better process than what Prabhupada has so very mercifully entrusted to us.
That's true. Very true.
Thank you for a wonderful class, very enlightening. And from the various remarks I just heard, you explained that so beautifully. So our gratitude to you and to your Guru Maharaj.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Nitai Mataji.
Yes, I was remembering Kurma Brahmana, how Lord Chaitanya really explained that you stay in your ashram. You don't need to come and you preach. So I felt you can connect that instruction to this verse.
Yes, Nitai Mata. That's such an appropriate example you bring about. For those that do not know what Nitai Mata is referring to, in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, there was one Brahmana, the Kurma Brahmana. He wanted to leave home and join Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, that is not needed. You simply stay at home. Whoever you meet, you tell them about Krishna and you worship Krishna and you will become perfect. Yes, thank you so much for that example, Nitai Mata.
Thank you, Prabhu. It's very nice the way you connect everything. You just made a full circle out of everything. It's so nice, It's all very nicely connected. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There's a few comments here, if I may. My question, not related to today's class, but just a general question is, to why one rings the bell during prayer. Thank you, Prabhuji. I'm not so sure. It's because the Vaishnavacharyas have said that. And why do we do anything in Krishna consciousness? It's to please Krishna. So somehow or the other, in some scripture, Krishna has indicated that he's pleased when the bell is ringing, when we're doing puja. But if someone else has another explanation, please feel free to share it.
Prabhu, is it to invoke auspiciousness?
Yes, that could be also there. Yes, to invoke auspiciousness.
Also, there is a story in Krishna that, like gopis and Krishna, like gopis were hiding butter and Krishna was going to steal the butter.
Uh-huh.
And then there was the bell, and then Krishna, he ordered bell not to ring. They said, okay. Then the Krishna and all this, Krishna fed all his friends and monkeys and everybody. Bell did not ring. As soon as Krishna started eating, the bell started ringing. And then the goat came and caught Krishna. And then Krishna went to the bell and told him off. I said, why? I told you not to ring. Why did you ring? I said, that's it's a process or something that in every time, when we offer something, we ring the bell. So when you start to eat, bell has to be rung. So I cannot stop, but I had to ring.
Oh, okay.
So, and also get the attention of Krishna that, like, okay, Krishna, I'm just starting to offer, the food. So please, come and accept the prasadam. That's what I think.
Oh, that's a nice
understanding.
That's a nice explanation. Thank you for that, Krishna Vani Mataji. Is it in the Narada Pancharatra? Ajay Prabhu is saying. I'm not sure, Prabhu. If any of y'all have some scriptural reference for it, please send it to me and I'll share it with the group. All right. Thank you, everyone. It's gone almost 8 o'clock. We've gone over
9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, sorry. 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Vaishnaveभ्यो नमो नमः.